Akanksha, thank you so very much for being here today. That too on Sunday evening. It's a weekend. So first of all, it's pleasure having you on my podcast.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Chinmay. And as a coach, you must know, right, that for us, there is no Sunday and Saturday, and there is no Monday also. There is no Monday blues also. So thanks for inviting me. Thanks a lot. And I'm sure that through this podcast, people will get a lot of value and they will learn something new from both of us.
Yeah, perfect, perfect. So, Akanksha, in the next 30 minutes, what I want to create is a short master class where we teach people everything about communication. So, we really
Okay.
can't cover like all the fancy public speaking techniques right now, like in today, but we'll try to get the fundamentals right because fundamentals are the most important thing that you need to get right while starting. Yeah. So, let's get started. But before that, I just want you to introduce yourself. Just tell us about yourself so that people can connect and relate with you.
Sure. Thank you, Chinmay, for giving this opportunity. Hello, everyone. My name is Akanksha Verma. I'm a strategic communication coach. I help IT professionals, working professionals to improve their communication using NLP techniques so that they can grow up to 3x speed, right? So this is my whole mission is. Now, talking about my backstory. So believe me, around 6 years, 10 years back, I was just like the person sitting behind this podcast, listening to this podcast, because I was not also having the same challenges in terms of communication what everybody is having today. Right. And this is because even Chinmay would understand this because Chinmay, you would also understand this because you are also, training and mentoring your community for the communication, and you understand that we all have the common enemy, and that is the education system which does not focus on communication skills. Correct. So that is the challenge even I was having, and through that is from there where I have joined the corporate world, I realized that without communication we cannot grow. Even though we have lots of technical skills, but how to express those technical skills, right? So through that time, I started my journey to improve my communication. I started learning communication. I improved my communication. And meanwhile, I realized that people are also facing the same challenge which I was facing 20 years back, you know. So that's where I realized that it's not only about me. It's not only that I'm happy to improve my communication, but people are there who need my help. And that is how my journey started as a mentor to improve the communication and to help people to improve their communication. So that is how I'm here today. So that is about my story, Chinmay. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah. And I completely agree when you say things you said about, an Indian education system. I touch upon to that very quickly, but let me share my experience. Like, how did I begin? So for me, Akanksha, my shift was in 2021. I created my first YouTube video, and
Hmm.
if you watch that video right today, you will find me
Yeah.
making all the possible mistakes, all the worst mistakes that I could, like bad speaking structure, no perfect body language. But what really helped me was my belief that I can do it. Like, okay, I'm a loser right now, but if I got the right way, I can be the biggest one in the room. So it's just a matter of time. And the second thing that really transformed me was the question, who are you listening to? Like earlier, like before internet, parents used to teach their children the manners, the value system. But today, students are learning everything from social media. So it's really important, who are you listening to? So like exactly 7 years ago, I like when I was in my class 8, I have started listening to people like Sandeep Maheshwari sir, who is a motivational speaker we all know. He's a motivational speaker. I started listening to Gary Vaynerchuk. And that's how a belief, planted in my mind that okay, I can do it. It's just that I don't know the right way. So for me, listening to the right people was my mindset shift. Okay, and talking about now the communication, I think that personally, when I was in my school and colleges, like over 98% of my all education was just focused on the subject that I took and not the soft skills. Yeah. And that's why, Akanksha, I want you to tell us why students should care about soft skills. Why should they care about the way they speaks? Give us three solid reasons why people should care about communication in 2025.
Sure, sure. So Chinmay, you answer that 7 years before, when you started the journey, then you made lots of mistakes. But good thing is that you realized it. And you realized it and you fixed it early, right? And that is how you have started your own journey. Now let's talk about the students who are studying now and who are focusing to see. I completely understand that you have to have the grades, you have to have the marks, you have to have the certificates and degrees, so-called degrees, right? But the problem is that we are so much forced towards the hard skills, towards the learning technical skills, be it machine learning, be it artificial intelligence, big data science, everything. We are 100% focused to those. But when it comes to interview, if somebody is in engineering college and when they go to campus selection, 80% of companies reject those profiles just because they have great technical skills. But when it comes to expressing those skills, they fail, right? And that is where whenever I go to campus, whenever I go for training, for I conduct trainings in colleges also, and the first thing which comes is they have a lot of technical expertise, but when it comes to expressing them, that's where the challenge is. So this is the first reason, that no matter how much you have technical expertise, but you know how to tell those skills, you know how to express those skills, right? That is very important when it comes to corporate communication, right? And second thing is, see, we as a social being, right? It's not only about your professional career. I'm talking about as a human, right? We are social animal. And whenever we want to build a relationship, build a network, professional network, we have to communicate. This is the only way, right? So if you want to have a great relationship, whether it is your professional space, whether it is your personal space, you have to communicate. This is the only way, whether it is non-verbal communication, whether it is written communication, whether it is verbal communication, you have to communicate. And that makes communication inevitable part of this world. Even though there was no social media, then also we were communicating to each other. Now the social media is the bigger platform which connects us globally, right? I'm not sure if this podcast is being watched by outside of India to the whole world, right? So if the person is watching, so this is the opportunity. It opens the door also, right? Doors of opportunities, so that you can connect globally and you can make network outside of India, and you never know which doors of opportunities knocking out towards you, right? So that is why communication become essential part of your life, whether it is professional life and personal life. And finally, relationship. So first thing is to express yourself, your skills. Second thing is to make a network, and third thing is to build a relationship. See, if I talk about the personal space, I've seen many relationship, whether it is any relationship, you can take it, right? It is getting ruined just because people are not able to convey their message, convey their love, convey their affection towards other person. And that's where the misunderstanding generates. That's where the miscommunication happens. And that is why relationship is not working as well as it was working before, right? And that too, we are living in a virtual world, right? So that's why communication becomes very important to have a clear, and you know what, when I talk about communication, it's not about my message has to pass on to you. It is about your understanding should also be coming to me, whether the same message has been passed on to you or not. So communication is not about the communication I do, it is about the response I expect from you, and the same response is coming to me. That is how the communication circle gets completed. So that is that is why I feel that communication is very essential, whether it is professional life, whether it is a personal life. I hope that answers to your question.
Yeah, perfect, perfect. And like Akanksha, do you think communication is subject, speaking is subjective? Like we can't really judge anyone like speaking. I think to reach a goal, there are multiple ways. Like we all know to reach, let's say I want to get to 10, number 10. So I can do 5 plus 5 equal to 10. So 6 plus 4 is also 10. So I think to reach a goal, there are multiple ways. Similarly, if you want to improve your communication skills, there are multiple ways to do that. You need to find your way of doing that. Like what is the fastest
Exactly.
way that you can use to improve your communication skills? Perfect, perfect. And if I add the reason why communication is important, let me give you some examples. If we take any best-selling book, why the author is bestseller? Because the communication is so strong in that book. If we take any
Exactly.
blockbuster movie, why it is that? Because the people in that movie had really powerful communication. They are really great communicators. If we take
Right.
any most purchased product online, why is that? Because the marketing message is very strong. So you take any example, you will find communication being used there. So there is no
Correct.
reason why you should not, look at it. Yeah. So now,
Exactly.
yeah,
Just one thing to add here, Chinmay, since you talked about communication and since you talked about the bestsellers, the movies and everything, the bottom line in every example you have given, the bottom line was the connection,
yeah,
right? So it's
yeah,
not about the communication using the right language, using
yeah.
the advanced language, using the rich language. It is about how well you can connect with your audience,
Yes,
correct? So
yes,
that is the bottom of communication, the connection.
yes, yes. So
Yeah.
rather than like improving your fancy vocabulary, try to build more genuine connections with people. That's how you connect.
Correct.
Yeah,
Exactly. Yes,
perfect.
exactly.
Yeah. And when it comes to communication, Akanksha, like people can watch the best YouTube videos. They can also read best books on communication.
Hmm.
They can attend the
Hmm.
best workshops, but they won't be able, but that will add no value in their life if they are feeling nervous from inside, if they don't have the proper mindset. So I think the first step that we need to get is having the right mindset. So I want you to talk about what should be the right mindset when a student or a working professional is trying to improve his communication skills. What mindset should he keep?
Okay, so the first thing is, the first mindset which you need is feel free to make mistakes. It's okay to make mistakes. पता है हमको बचपन में क्या सिखाया गया है? हमें बचपन से क्या सिखाया जाता है? अरे तुमने ये गलती कर दी, तुम तो गंदे बच्चे हो, राइट? तुमने ये कर दिया, तुम तो गंदे बच्चे हो. एंड दैट the ganda bacha wala thing has kept in our subconscious mind that if anybody makes mistake, he's not good guy, or she is not a good girl, right? So that misconception has been into our inculcated in our mind that well that we are not able to feel free to make mistakes. And that's where we have the fear of making mistakes. That's where we have the fear of being judged. And that's where we have the fear of being criticized. Right? So the first point is please feel free to make mistakes because this is the only way to achieve success, right? Until and unless you will try get out of your comfort zone, try new things, you won't be able to get out of your, or you can learn something new, be it a communication. Now second mindset is that you have to be confident from within, as in, see, everybody has a fear that what if people will judge you. Okay, so that's again come to fear of judgment that has to be removed. And most important thing is, uh, see, we criticize a lot to ourselves, right? We criticize a lot to ourselves. The most important point is without criticizing yourself, please focus on the people you are passing on the message, right? Because if you are doing a communication, which means you have some important information which is required by your audience. So it is not about you, it is about the audience. They need your information, they need your information to share with them, right? So do not afraid because they are waiting for you to share the information. So that is very important. And when it comes to mindset also, see, you have to have the leadership mindset. Leadership mindset, as in, you have to have the winning mindset. You can never be quitter. right? You can never be quitter. You should not have a second or plan B, right? You should always have a plan A, and you cannot lose, you cannot quit that plan. That is very important. So the first thing is you cannot have the fear of making mistakes. Second thing is mindset of being a leader, right? Practice what you preach. That is more important. And finally, you have to be unique in your presence. The first thing is definitely you have to make mistakes, because this is the only way. And the second thing is don't copy others.
Mm.
Okay,
Yeah.
that is very important, because see, when we think that we want to be a great communicator, we start copying others. For example, if I say, yeah, Shashi Tharoor is a great communicator, or anybody, Priyanka Chopra, Shah Rukh Khan is a great communicator, then we start copying them. Do not do that, because you have the uniqueness within you, right? So find out that uniqueness through your communication, and through that only you can have the right mindset to speak out to the crowd, right? So these two things which I feel that you should have to achieve the success.
Yeah, yeah, right.
I
This
hope,
is,
that
yeah,
answers the
this is
question.
a really interesting point. The first point that you said, that feel free to make mistakes. Now, I think
Yes.
when you when you start speaking on camera, or when you go on a stage, the first thing that
Hmm.
the question that scares the people is that what people are thinking about me. But the reality is, I
Yes.
think people are not judging you. People are looking up to you. Like they are expecting a better speech from you. So I think
Correct.
the the nervousness reduces when you realize this fact that no one really cares. Like after the workshop, no one is
Exactly.
going to go and go at home and think that, okay, Chinmay has a very bad voice, or I didn't like Akanksha the way she speaks. Like no one is going to think
Correct.
like that.
Correct.
So when you realize that
Correct.
people,
And most
yeah,
important thing,
sure, go ahead.
yeah, and most important, yeah, and the most important thing is, see, we always put the spotlight on ourselves.
Spotlight effect,
कि
yeah,
मुझे लोग क्या बोलेंगे, ये क्या होगा, मैं कैसा दिख रहा हूँ, मैं कैसे बोल रही हूँ, राइट? इट शुड हैव द स्पॉटलाइट शुड ऑलवेज बी ऑन अदर्स, ऑन द
yeah,
ऑडियंस, कि
yeah,
मैं उनके लिए बोल रहा हूँ, मैं उनके लिए प्रेजेंट कर रहा हूँ, मेरे पास उनके लिए मैसेज है, विच इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर देम. सो व्हेन यू turn the focus light towards them, then you won't make mistake,
yeah,
right? Then you understand your words, then you understand the worth of the message, and then you will be able to focus towards the audience.
right,
Yeah.
right, right. Yes, yes. And Akanksha, also when it comes to mindset building, when I like watch
Hmm.
my previous old videos, when I look at them,
Hmm.
there is no perfect structure, or there is no perfect body language. You know,
Exactly.
I
Hmm.
asked myself a question, like, why the heck did I started on then get started? Like, why did I started then?
Hmm.
Then the answer was
Hmm.
simple. Like, I believed in myself, and I just took a small step. And the video that I created, it just gave me a pinch of confidence that I used to create another video, and then just loop happened. Loop. There was a loop, and then I transferred my like confidence. So I think you don't need confidence to get started. You need to take that first step to build that pinch of confidence. Take that confidence to take another step, and that's how you create a loop. So I think taking actions, small
One more
actions.
thing, one more thing, correct. So I'm sorry to interrupt. But one more thing which is very important about mindset is forget being
Ah,
perfectionist.
yeah,
Forget being perfectionist.
yeah,
Okay? Because perfectionism is a myth. You can be almost perfect, but not the perfect.
yeah.
100% perfect.
Yes,
So this
yes,
is the process. This is a cycle which you have to go through again and again and
yes,
again to become a perfectionist. But this is a myth. Don't rush that. Once the day I will be perfect, then only I will create my first video. It's a myth. You will never start your journey.
yes, yes.
So my mentor says version one is better than version none. So I always go for version one, and that is how I create my next version and next version
Yeah,
and next version. So
yeah, yeah,
yes,
yeah.
that is
Exactly. And Akanksha, even the best sometimes feel nervous. Like we are humans, and we are tired with all kinds of emotions. Like we can't be
exactly.
100%
Yes,
fearless. So there will be some
exactly.
nervousness. So the idea is to get yourself into small actions, and just get better day by day. So that's the formula.
Exactly.
Perfect.
Yes.
Now let's talk about, okay, so there are a lot of students who are going to see this video. There will be working professionals as well. And the
Yes.
biggest challenge that students have is when they go in an interview, the challenge becomes is how should they present themselves? Or if
Hmm.
they are having a college presentation, how do they present in a way that makes them unique? So let's
Hmm.
talk about interview first. Akanksha, tell
Hmm.
me what are some mistakes that most people, most fresher make when they go in an interview for the first time. So, what mistakes should they avoid?
So whenever I check with students who are going for the interview, and I'd ask them, okay, tell me about yourself, and they start very well. Hi, my name is this. I'm from this. I have done this. I have this much of experience. I have done this projects. Now tell me, the person who has already your resume, who
Yeah.
has all the information written there,
Yes.
why he would ask you to introduce yourself again? Right? He must be checking something else which is not there in resume, right? So what are the things he is checking? He is definitely checking whether you are the person who has written this resume or not, right? Whether the information which is shared is authentic or not. Second thing, how about your confidence? How about your communication? These three things generally interviewer check. Okay. Now, how to introduce yourself? Since all the information is given here in resume, so you have to tell something about yourself which is not here in resume, which is your USP. What is that? Unique selling point. Why you are different than others. What is the unique quality you have that other candidate does not have? Right? That is the whole point. And you know what? Introduce yourself is your game. It can change the game completely on your court.
Yeah.
You know, so that is why introduce yourself is your game changer. Please handle it very well, because that is, you remember, right? 30 seconds is enough to make an impression. And that is where you have the whole full chance of making impression, a great impression, right? So introducing yourself, you should definitely add the unique quality for you have. For example, you can be a problem solver, you can be a great root cause analyst, right? You can be a team player, you can be a initiator, right? So these kind of quality you should highlight when you are talking about introduce yourself. I'm not talking about that you should not introduce about yourself, you should not talk about your education background, you should not talk about your experiences. You should talk all those things supporting the unique quality you are talking about. For example, hello sir, I'm a problem. I mean, my name is XYZ and I have studied in this college. I feel that I am a problem solver because in this project, during that project in my college days, I had faced this challenge, and whole of the team was facing that we were going to fail in that project, but somehow I got the solution. You have to tell the solution. What was the solution? How did you implement it? And how did you get the result? So whole thing, you have talked about your project, you have talked about your education, you have talked about how your unique quality is supporting in your day-to-day life. So it's not only about your introduction as in what is written in your resume, but you should have a unique quality which you should highlight in your introduction.
Yeah.
So I hope that that
Right.
gives the idea to
Perfect.
introduce
Perfect.
yourself.
And Akanksha, whenever an interviewer asks student a question, there
Hmm.
are few questions that student is not able to answer. So
Hmm.
students are really afraid to say, I don't know. So how do
Hmm.
you say, I don't know in a way that doesn't harms your credibility? So
Hmm.
can
Hmm.
you tell us a way where you are not having an answer? So how do you present yourself in that way where you come across confident, not nervous?
Okay. So the first thing is, it's not necessary that you should know everything. Nobody is here that he knows everything. Whatever is being asked, you know everything. But it is expected that at least you know 70% of the questions, especially when it is a technical questions, right? So technical questions, you should know at least 70%. And if you feel that you are not sure about the answer or you do not know at all, please feel free to say, Sir, I'm not able to recall it right now, right? So I won't be able to give the right answer right now. I will go back and refer to that again, right? So you don't have to say you don't know. You can say, sir, I cannot recall it right now. I will go back and check that.
Right, right. Perfect,
That is
perfect.
the that is how
Yes,
you can handle.
yes, yes, perfect. And Akanksha, do you suggest like students to rehearse the interviews or like give a mock
Very
interviews?
much,
It's very important,
very much.
right?
Very important. Believe me, I've seen people like we are into a community. I've seen people, senior managers who are preparing for CEO, CFO level of interview. They are writing their answers. They
Okay,
are practicing their answers by writing, and then they practice it, and that is how they present it.
right.
You can understand the importance of writing and practicing, right? Because at that level people are preparing themselves for the interview. So if you are fresher, definitely you should have everything. I'm not saying mugging up,
Yeah,
but you should have a framework ready in your mind, that what your answer, how you are going to answer. That is very important.
yeah,
That is very
right,
important.
right, right. And I think saying words out loudly is important because you need to see
Yes,
yourself how your words are getting placed in the sentences.
exactly,
That's really
exactly.
important. Perfect.
Yes,
Okay, so we talked about mindset, we talked about confidence, we talked about interview. Let's talk about some presentation tips. So, like most students have competitions and presentation competition in their colleges where they have to present. And when I was in college, in my entire class, I didn't find any single person who is going on stage and
hmm.
actually presenting. Like most people I have
Hmm.
seen that they are coming, like standing in front of the laptop and they are just reading the content.
Hmm.
Yeah. So
Right.
like most students don't know the right way of presentation. So give us
Hmm.
some tips, like how can a student prepare for his presentation?
Okay. So, Chinmay, when it comes to presentation, no, I teach my mentees to go with reverse engineering. Okay, what does it mean? See, whenever we have some presentation, हम फटाफट पीपीटी निकाल लेते हैं, PowerPoint presentation निकाला और फटाफट slides बनाना शुरू कर दिया. The preparation of presentation, it starts way back then, preparing a PPT. Okay, where? So you have to understand what is the objective of your presentation. Why you are giving this presentation? Just to have your marks कि उतना presentation में इतना marks है तो मुझे उतने marks चाहिए है. That can also be objective, which is fine. I'm not saying anything is wrong, but you should be clear, 100% clear, what is your objective of this presentation. Once your objective is clear, then only you have to do a lot of research on that topic. यदि मार्क्स ही आपके ऑब्जेक्टिव हैं, सो जितना अच्छा कंटेंट होगा उतने अच्छे आपके मार्क्स होंगे, राइट? सो टू हैव दैट ग्रेट प्रेजेंटेशन यू शुड हैव 100% ऑफ रिसर्च. सो डेल कार्नेगी, यू मस्ट बी नोइंग डेल कार्नेगी, राइट? सो डेल कार्नेगी इज द गॉडफादर ऑफ पब्लिक स्पीकिंग एंड कम्युनिकेशन. ही सेज यदि आपको 5 मिनट का प्रेजेंटेशन देना है, आपके पास 50 आवर्स का कंटेंट होना चाहिए बिहाइंड बिहाइंड द सीन, राइट? थ्रू दैट आपके पास वो 5 मिनट का कंटेंट हो जाएगा ड्यूरिंग दैट प्रेजेंटेशन, क्योंकि 80% चीजें आपको भूल जाएंगी. सो यू शुड बी रेडी विथ 50 आवर्स ऑफ कंटेंट, देन ओनली यू विल बी एबल टू गिव 5 मिनट्स का इफेक्टिव प्रेजेंटेशन. दैट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. सो do the research as much as possible. Do the research as in you can write a book on that topic. That much authenticity you should have to speak on that topic. And then, of course, preparing the presentation. So when it comes to preparing the presentation, very important thing, you should not write, especially when you preparing the slides. See, PPT हम क्यों present करते हैं, हम words में क्यों नहीं कर लेते हैं? Words में PPT में difference यही है कि PPT is meant for pictorial visuals, right? It is more of a visual. So make sure that you have 80% of visuals and 20% of text, right? Second thing, you should have everything in bullet points. Paragraph nahi chahiye PPT mein. And third thing, as you mentioned, Chinmay, that is very impactful and very factful, that people go and read the PPT. और मजे की बात है, वो पूरा पीपीटी प्रोजेक्टर की तरफ टर्न हो जाएंगे, वो पीपीटी पढ़ेंगे और सामने वाला बंदा भी पढ़ रहा है, वो भी साथ में पढ़ रहा है. इट शुड नॉट बी दैट वे. right? You have to have the bullet point in front of in the PPT, and you should looking at the audience and you should explain those bullet points, right? That is how PPT should be, or the presentation should be conducted or delivered. So I hope that answers the question, but there are lots of things in presentation, but the
Yes.
most important thing is pictorial way. You should have visuals in the presentation so to make it attractive and engaging. And second thing, you should not read out, you should have bullet points on it
Yeah.
and do lots of research. Then
Yeah.
only
Yeah.
you will be able to conduct it with authenticity. Yeah. So these
Yes.
are the points you should have, yeah, in
Perfect.
mind.
Yeah. And you talk like very clearly, like the first fundamental thing, that what is your objective? What is your message that you
Exactly.
want to give through that PPT? So I think that
Exactly.
message should be clearly written statement which should be easy to remember for people, because people will forget
Exactly.
everything. So you need to write a message that they can remember like for a very long time. So setting
Exactly.
up the objective, then 80% visuals. So like completely agree with you. Like we process visuals more faster than words. So visuals
Exactly.
and then bullet points. Perfect.
Yes.
Perfect. Now, Akanksha, when it comes to presenting the content, what people make mistake when it comes to their body language? So can you give us some red flags that you see when people present something?
Sure. So the first thing I already told that people look towards the projector and their back is towards their audience. That should not happen. Correct. So you should be in between, in the stage in a way that you are not in between the on the way of projector. Audience should be clearly watching the PPT. And second thing is you should not standing behind the podium. That is the biggest mistake we do. करेक्ट. देखो, पोडियम ना आपके और ऑडियंस के बीच में एक बैरियर हो जाता है. Audience will not be able to connect with you. Come towards the audience, come forward to the audience and then speak with them. Have the eye contact with them. It's very important. Having the hand gestures and postures, right? And most importantly, during the presentation, your tone, your pitch, your voice, your pace, that is very important, right? So all this, whatever is required in public speaking, including your body language, including your eye contact, your gestures, postures, tone, voice, pitch, pace, everything includes, and that is how that makes the presentation an effective presentation. So it's not about only the PPT you have prepared and you have just spoken out and you have just read it out. No, you have to prepare it in a way that you are actually giving a public speaking. So that makes the difference in a normal presentation and an effective presentation. So yes, that's the way you can prepare.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Perfect. So, Angsha, my last question to you is, what, according to you, is the fastest way to learn communication, to get better at speaking? So, let's say I am a student who don't know anything about communication. I'm terrible at speaking, and I want to get better. What will you suggest to me? What is the fastest way do you think will help me to get
Okay. Okay. So the first thing, Chinmay, if you are the student who is not able to speak, so there are two things. People generally connect English speaking to communication, right? That is the biggest problem. But the irony is that is fact also. Nowadays it's becoming fact that you should know a little bit of English, right? Because you have to convey, you have to communicate in global market, you have to communicate in English. Second thing is confidence. Like when it comes to communication, you have to have that confidence. So how the confidence will come? The confidence will come through practice. So I have a clear cut formula. Whenever somebody is starting with the communication, they're starting the journey of improving their communication, I give them 10-10-10 का formula. What is 10-10-10 का formula? 10 minutes आपको थिंक करना है. और यू कैन थिंक, यदि नहीं होता है, देखो सबसे पहले इंपॉर्टेंट होता है थिंक इन इंग्लिश. इफ यू आर वांट टू इंप्रूव इन इंग्लिश, सो थिंक इन इंग्लिश. अब लोगों को समझ में नहीं आता व्हाट इज थिंक इन इंग्लिश. दे थिंक ऑलवेज व्हेनेवर you are thinking something, you catch your thoughts, whether you are thinking in your regional language, whether it is Marathi, Hindi, English, Gujarati, whatever it is. We most of the time we think in our regional language, right? Our mother tongue, राइट. सो उसको हमें ठीक करके हमें उसको ड्रैग करके इंग्लिश में लाना है. अब वो स्टार्टिंग में नहीं हो पाता, इट नीड्स प्रैक्टिस. तो स्टार्टिंग में आप क्या कर सकते हो? यू कैन लिसन पॉडकास्ट, You can read the books, okay, 10 minutes every day. 30 minutes का आपको रिचुअल रखना है every day का. 10 minutes reading or listening, then 10 minutes writing. What is writing? जो आपने सुना है, that you have to write in your own words. ठीक है. और फिर उसके बाद लिखने के बाद उस नोट्स को बिना देखे जो भी आपने लिखा है, यू हैव टू स्पीक आउट लाउड. राइट. सो ये 10-10-10 का रिचुअल होता है. सबसे पहले आप इंफॉर्मेशन गेन करो, उस इंफॉर्मेशन को अपने वर्ड्स में आप नोट डाउन करो, एंड देन उसी इंफॉर्मेशन को आप अपने वर्ड्स में स्पीक आउट करो. राइट. सो दिस इज द होल सर्कल 10-10-10. यू हैव टू डू इट. I'll tell you, in 30 days, you will see the change. Not even in 30 days, in 20 days, you will see the change. So that is how I recommend any beginner who is the beginner and who's starting communication and English language, do this practice and you will see the change. Yeah,
100%, 100%. I completely agree with you. You can give all the best book recommendations to you, but it won't
exactly,
add value to you unless you practice, unless you speak.
exactly,
So the best way to learn
exactly,
speaking is to just start speaking. Yeah.
exactly.
Perfect. Thank you so very much, Akanksha. It was a pleasure being with you here today because you have years of experience. So this was a great opportunity for me as well. Thank you so much for spending your time, precious time with all of us. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, Chinmay.
Perfect.